Hello there, welcome to another edition of the Holiday and Cruise Clinic, the only programme on television that's purely dedicated to answering your holiday, cruise and travel related questions. If you have a question, a query, a dilemma about cruising or holidays in general, here's how to get in touch. Go to our website, which is www.holidayandcruisechannel.co.uk. Go to the clinic page, click on there and send us your questions to us online through the website. You can also email us directly to clinic@holidayandcruisechannel.co.uk or write to us by post as well to the Holiday and Cruise Channel, Cavendish House, Brighton Road, Liverpool, L22 5NG. Now from the magnificent fjords of Norway to the awesome ice-filled bays of Antarctica, not many cruise lines can allow you to experience the sights and sounds that Hurtigruten cruises can. They offer a unique opportunity to see some wonderful parts of the world like you'll have never seen them before. Here to tell us more is Simon McDermott from Hurtigruten. Simon, welcome along to the Holiday and Cruise Clinic.
Hello Phil, how are you?
Oh, I'm good. Let's just get the words right first of all. Hurtigruten.
Hurtigruten, well you were nearly there.
Okay.
Yeah, all you need to do is take the G out, make it silent and it becomes Hurtigruten.
Hurtigruten.
Which means fast route in Norwegian.
Oh right, okay, brilliant. So you're taking your inspiration directly from that area then. That's brilliant to know. People can get to see an awful lot of wonderful things when they're cruising with you, but it's slightly different, isn't it, than your average type cruise? Very
much so. We're an established business of nearly 120 years, Phil, which is quite incredible. Hurtigruten was set up back in 1893 to create a commercial link between the north and south of the coastline of Norway. Very difficult to transport people and stock and produce between the ports of the coast way back in those days. So the government at the time decided that they wanted a opportunity for people to travel and do business with each other. So that's why we were set up all those many years ago.
Brilliant. So it's a kind of cross between a little bit of commercial shipping and a chance to enjoy yourself on a cruise too.
Absolutely. That is the fantastic contrast between what we do. We offer an incredible journey and incredible experience for our guests, but we also offer them the chance to see how life is on the coast of Norway with the people of the coastline working and going about their daily life and being a part of that, which is really special for our guests.
Now, because you're going through the fjords, it means that you're, am I right in saying, never really far from land?
Very much so. Throughout the journey from Bergen to Kirkenes, all 6 nights going north and the 5 nights coming south again, and we are literally hugging the coastline of this breathtaking coast. So we're at Portoff, obviously many times, we'll tell you about that as we go through, but we stop very often, and because of that we are literally sailing through the inlets and the islands of the coastline. So yeah, we have land almost either side of us all the time.
Oh right, okay. So it's a bit difficult to know whether to look out the left-hand side of the ship or the right-hand side of the ship.
Absolutely, very popular question. Shall we have a port side or a starboard cabin? It doesn't matter on Hurtigruten. Whichever side you are, you will see lots and lots of breathtaking scenery, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And am I right in thinking also that if you, because you cruise during the night as well, then if you miss something during the night on the way up, you can pick it up on the way down?
Absolutely. I've mentioned just briefly that we do the northbound journey and the southbound journey. They are exactly the same. We take in 34 ports and we do them, as I say, exactly the same journey, but we do them at different times of the day and night. So essentially when you miss something going north at night time, fast asleep in bed, because we do have to sleep a little bit, then you will see that exact area on the southbound journey during the daylight. So to complete the journey, to see everything properly, the best thing to do is to do both the north and south combined if you can.
34 ports. That sounds like a big operation.
Well, it is, but over 6 nights, as you can average it out, my maths isn't that good, but between 34 ports over 6 nights, it's obviously around 6 or 7 a day, and we are stopping regularly, but of course we do have periods where we're not stopping for a little while so that you can be on board and relaxing. But that's the journey, that's what it's all about. It's about looking forward to coming into the ports and getting off at the ports and having a little look round. Some of them are very, very tiny, Phil.
Well, I was going to say, because if you're going to 34 different places almost, it's like quick whiz round, back on again. You're not there for long, are you?
No, that's right. On 34 of the ports, we take in, some of them we're there for a period of time that is a good amount of time, for example, up to 4 hours in Trondheim, but most of our ports we're actually only there for between 15 minutes and half an hour, so that some of the cargo, the supplies will come on, people will come on and off, and then off we go again, yeah.
Now, one thing that people do write to me an awful lot about on this programme is various basic questions about will I be seasick and things like that? Will the ship rock around? I would imagine that if somebody is new to cruising and they want to take in a cruise and just give it a go, but they're worried about the movement of the ship, for example, you guys are good because the fjords don't get that bumpy, I suppose, at all.
Absolutely not in the summertime. Because we're an all-year-round product, we do go in the wintertime, and that's very popular at the moment with Hurtigruten. And in the winter you will and can have difficult weather conditions. But the beauty of being on the Norwegian coast, Phil, is that we are sheltered very much by land either side of us. We are docking often, so we are never in the middle of the ocean, shall we say. If the wind blows, it will blow, but it's a lot better to be sheltered along the Norwegian coast if we do have difficult weather. But that's generally in the winter. In the summertime, you're quite right, the fjords are beautiful, hopefully mill pond conditions in the summer, but out with that, you just never know what you're going to get on the Norwegian coast.
No, but that's nice in a way, I would imagine.
Yeah, definitely.
You go quite far north, don't you, into the Arctic Circle with your cruises. Yeah. So how do you actually know that you are now in the Arctic Circle? There's no sign there, presumably.
Well, kind of. In an ironic way, there is a little monument in the sea that we pass, and of course we announce to the ship. That's the wonder of Hurtigruten. We really do want to keep you updated about this journey because that's what you're there for, to experience the breathtaking nature and scenery. So we do announce it. We're passing the Arctic Circle coming up. There's a little, as I say, monument in the sea, and we announce it to the ship, and then we do actually have two different baptisms, Arctic baptisms, one north and one south, where we have some interesting things happening, and one is King Neptune. He comes on board and he will put some ice cubes down your back, welcoming you into Arctic Norway.
I'm glad you didn't try that with me today.
Well, there you go, absolutely. So something very different, something that you can remember, and it's just part of the history. We've always done it, you know, welcoming you into the Arctic, which is quite special, and you get a little certificate as well.
And is that to remind you just how cold it can be outside?
Very much so, very much so. Of course, not in the summer, although it's obviously cooler than it would be back home. But yeah, it's incredible to experience it in the winter, because obviously the word Arctic does conjure up the winter side of things, but no, it's good fun.
What do you think? I mean, it's a dilemma for many people, isn't it? And I'll be careful what I say here, what to take with you when you go on holiday. Some people take a few more suitcases than they need, but if you're going on a cruise into the Baltic, perhaps it's a little bit cold outside, you know, do you just take clothes that you're used to wearing in the UK, for example? Will that be enough?
Well, of course, we're not blessed with the best climate, are we, in the UK? So we're kind of used to colder conditions, so it's not too bad. But I mean, if you're going above the Arctic Circle in the winter, then of course you do need to dress appropriately. And we always say at Hurtigruten, quite simply, to have a layered approach to your clothing, so that when because you're going to be coming on and off the ship at the ports, you're going to be out on deck often, you want to be able to just take a layer off or put a layer on as you come in and out of the ship. But layered approach, nice steady clothing, yeah, definitely.
And you've been around long enough to know what works and what doesn't, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've been doing that for 120 years, so I think we should know by now what to advise people to wear, that's for sure.
OK, so we're on board. We know the view outside the port or the starboard side is going to be lovely. You're going to visit some interesting places. What about life on board the ship?
Yeah.
What's a typical day like?
It's a fabulous day. It's full of things to do, opportunities to see wonderful things. We do have a structure during the day in terms of our meals. Breakfast, lunch and dinner, of course, is the kind of focal point. And then, of course, our ports of call sort of steady through the day, so we can pretty much understand how the day is going to work through. You get a daily sheet every day if you want to keep real close eye on the timings of our arrival at port and our departures at port, because we won't leave. We won't wait for you, Phil. If anybody goes off and doesn't come back on, it has been known. So we have a very scheduled process during the day, but it's great. You can relax, you can kick back and do nothing, or you can embrace every single port that we visit, be on deck, taking fabulous photos, watching the world go by, watching the Norwegians at work, doing their local thing.
And the wildlife, I believe, because we were speaking to Tamara on a recent programme, who gave us a first-hand account of what it's like to take one of these cruises as a kind of as a customer, I suppose, as a tourist. And she was saying that some of the wildlife and the bird life is well worth looking at from the observation deck. Very
much so. The observation lounge, as we call it, is fantastic, and day and night it's a focal point on our ship. So if you don't want to brave the outside conditions, especially in the winter time, then yeah, sit in the observation lounge and watch the scenery, of course, and the wildlife. Norway isn't famed for wildlife in so much as the polar bears that we visit when we go to Spitsbergen, but on the coast you might see some whales, some orca whales on the Norwegian coast. You will definitely see fantastic bird life, maybe sea eagles, which I managed to see last year, above the Arctic Circle, very prevalent, and we do have some excursions as well, which is a feature of our journey. But yeah, wildlife and the scenery is fantastic to be viewed from either the panorama lounge or on deck.
And there's someone there who can help you identify what it is that's flying around rather than, oh, look at that bird, I wonder what it is.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, the guys on the crew, I mean, we're very fortunate. Our crew never leave us. They stay with us for many, many years. They're very knowledgeable. They know every nook, every cranny of the journey, and they do tend to know what wildlife we're going to see in what particular area of our journey, yeah.
OK, Simon, we'll stay right there for a moment because there's stacks of questions I want to ask you about food, life on board, living and eating and things like that. A couple of my favourite questions.
Fantastic.
But we'll join you in a few moments' time after we've had a quick break. But just let me remind you of our handy guides for cruising. Maybe we've whetted your appetite a little bit. There they go. First time guide to cruise holidays, and also the guide to family cruising as well. If you want a copy of one or both with some really useful questions and answers in them, 0871 423 4444 is the number to call. Calls will cost you 10p a minute from a BT landline, and calls from other networks and mobiles may vary. You can also request copies through our website at www.holidayandcruisechannel.co.uk. Have a look at the website, get the guides, have a look at what else we're doing as well. While you're doing that, we'll take a quick break and back with Simon and myself in a few minutes' time. Hello there, welcome back to the Holiday and Cruise Clinic. Today we're talking about voyaging with Hurtigruten Cruises. And remember, if you have a question about cruising or anything else to do with travel or your holiday abroad generally, here's how to get in touch with our experts. Our website is www.holidayandcruisechannel.co.uk. If you go to the website, click on the clinic page, you can send us your questions to us that way, or you can email us directly as well to clinic@holidayandcruisechannel.co.uk, or traditional method is by post as well. Always good to hear from you. To the Holiday and Cruise Channel, Cavendish House, Brighton Road, Liverpool, L22 5NG. Simon McDermott is with us from Hurtigruten. Simon, you're a seasoned traveller and been involved in travel for quite a while now.
Yeah, I've been in the industry, dare I say it, 25 years.
Oh, right, having a little celebration this year?
Oh, not quite. No, just love being in the industry. I mean, we're very, very fortunate to be in this wonderful industry, and once you're in it, you kind of can't get out of it.
Is that
really.
right?
Yeah, very much so, yeah. I did start very young, by the way, I was 16 when I started.
I wasn't going to say anything.
I'm really old, but no, it's a fabulous industry, and being in the cruise sector, which is fantastic for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
So previous to that, a lot of airline side of things, but loving the cruise sector, and Hurtigruten, obviously an incredible product to sell.
Absolutely, but you joined to presumably see a little bit of the world and, you know, get out there, broaden your mind, and that's basically not been a disappointment, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. Being in the travel industry, you get the opportunity to go all around the world, which is fantastic. And yeah, when I was a young boy, I wasn't too sure what I wanted to do. Wasn't good enough to be a pro footballer, so what am I going to do? Did a bit of languages, lived abroad when I was younger, so the languages and living abroad when I was younger made me go into the travel industry, and I've never looked back, as they say.
I can see. And cruising, is it a personal favourite of yours?
Yeah, very much so. Now it is, yeah. I mean, having not really worked in the cruise sector, it was a nice thing to come into because it's something that I'd never really done. But having worked in the cruise sector now and having had the great opportunity to be on many different ships for work purposes and some holidays as well, it's been enjoyable. But of course, nothing better than the breathtaking coastline of Norway, of course.
Well, yes, obviously I was going to talk to you about that. I mean, you do some lovely cruises around that neck of the woods, but you also do a range of special destinations as well, don't you?
Yeah, we have our Explorer Voyages programme, which is absolutely fabulous, and we feature 3 wonderful destinations. Antarctica, so dare I say, the polar opposite of the Arctic, quite literally. We do Greenland and Spitsbergen, which are 3 incredible lands, very, very famous for the wildlife that you will see in Greenland, Spitsbergen and Antarctica. We also do some European voyages as well, when our ship leaves the North Pole to the South Pole, and when it comes back up to the North Pole, we fit some European voyages in as well. So that's our Explorer programme, and it's very, very popular now, with more and more people wanting to do dare I say it, a different kind of cruise, something with a little bit more about it, maybe an experience.
More activity, isn't it?
And more activities, yeah, for sure.
So because you can get off the ship, can't you, at some point, even though you're not actually at a destination as such,
Absolutely.
like a city or a town, you can get off and see a little bit of the wildlife.
Very much so. It's all about landings, especially in Antarctica and Spitsbergen and Greenland as well. The idea is to be on the ship, to see the wonderful sights of the landscapes, but also to be on them and get close to them. And that's what we can do. We can take you on a polar circle vessel, landing sometimes twice a day, occasionally more, sometimes less, dependent on weather. But you want to get close to the wildlife, not too close to the polar bears.
I was going to say, what can you see though? Because large white bears coming towards you, I'm not getting off the boat.
You don't want to be having too many encounters with those that close, but we will get close, and that's what we want you to do. Obviously, everything we do is extremely safe. Our expedition team are so experienced. We do everything to make this wonderful journey as safe as it can possibly be. Fantastic expertise, so there will be no incidences like that. And if there are any slightly interesting experiences, we are very, very aware. We are all trained implicitly in dealing with any eventuality, so it's wonderful. So in Antarctica, for example, we get close to the penguins. In Spitsbergen, not as close, but hopefully nice and close to the polar
close
bears.
enough just to see, yes,
Absolutely.
rather than looking from the deck saying,
Absolutely.
oh, look, there's a penguin.
Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt.
What kind of person would go on an expedition cruise then? Is it do you have to be mobile? Is it better if you don't have a disability or anything like that, or can you account for that sort of thing?
It's a good question, Phil. It's a question we do get asked a lot because people automatically just put themselves in I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm not a brilliant walker, or I've got an issue or something or other. But no, it's pretty much okay. I mean, it's not too strenuous. Some of our landings can be very heavily walking based, and we will tell you that. And if you don't want to do that particular landing, then you don't have to come off the ship. But invariably, they're not too bad. The walks are short, and you'll be able to cope. But obviously, if there is any physical issues, then we won't let you on the polar circles obviously for safety purposes. But anybody can do it generally. But we just make sure we find out if there's any issues. So yeah.
And you must meet some interesting people when you are a traveller in that respect.
Very much so.
And they won't all necessarily be British either, I would imagine.
Not at all. We're a global organisation. We sell all around the world. We have a market on our Norwegian programme. We have a big market for Germany, ourselves in the UK now. Absolutely wonderful what we've done to create more awareness and people coming on board. Our Antarctica, Greenland, Spitsbergen itineraries are, again, coming from all around the world. There was a guy, when I did my trip to Spitsbergen last summer, there was a guy from India on board, and Japan, because of course everybody wants to be in the Arctic and Antarctic regions, and because it's special, something very, very different.
Okay, we're on board, we're having our expedition, or we're having a nice trip up the fjords and seeing the sights. What about the food? People from the UK especially often say, I'm not so sure about the food abroad. What can we expect?
Well, the Hurtigruten fleet of ships, whether it be the Norwegian coastal voyages that we do or our explorer voyages, the food is absolutely fantastic. Bit of a foodie myself, so I kind of enjoy nice food, and I really do feel that it's very much on par with some fantastic restaurants that you would get anywhere around the world. It's very much themed. We do like to keep things very local. The produce is fresh. On our Norwegian product, we're stopping 34 times over 6 days. Great opportunity to get stock on board and produce fresh, and the menus are created by our expert chefs with the region in mind. So the fish and the meat that's produced and created is like I say, with the region in mind.
So you're really likely, are you, to get something different in each of the 34 different places, because are there that many regional variations?
Well, you wouldn't get obviously you're not eating at every port, but we on our meals it's more regional.
I'm sure I would be.
Absolutely, yeah, well, we probably could. But no, it's very regional. So when we're in say for example the Trond region, which is where Trondheim is, you will have the fish sort of created in a certain way. The Troms region, where we sail up a little bit further north, they just create the menus a little bit differently, and that's what we like. We just create things that a little bit differently, and explain as well, and tell you how the food is, and give you some information about it, and it just makes the journey. The food is fantastic. Buffet for breakfast and lunch, which means that you can go to the buffet tables and create and pick and try everything, whether it be fish, whether it be meat, variations of fantastic food. And the evening meal is a little bit more formal, but not formal. We don't do formal at Hurtigruten. No black ties, no dressing up for dinner, but what we do in the evening is a lovely occasion to have a nice 3-course waiter-served set menu, which is fantastic.
I was going to say, is that your personal advice from being a traveller on board the ships to actually pick a little bit at buffet style food? Because unless you're going out walking and moving around quite a lot, you're not using an awful lot of energy, but all this food keeps coming at you, and you don't want to get to dinner time in the evening or anything like that and be full, do you?
No.
So, you know, just what would your advice be? Kind of take it easy to sample a little bit through the day?
Yeah, but it's very difficult to do that. Every time I go on board, I put half a stone on because you just can't help yourself. The food is so good. But yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of it. You can pick and choose however you want to eat, you can eat. And the evening meal is a lovely evening meal. It's not massive, it's not tiny, it's perfect. If you've ate during the day, you'll be absolutely wonderfully fine. So. And
I'm right in thinking that after your meal, there's a great chance to meet and talk with your shipmates and relax and enjoy some music from the piano bar or something like that, rather than some full-blown entertainment that you might come across on other cruise ships.
Very much so. That is the theme of Hurtigruten. It's about the relaxation and it's about being on board this wonderful coastal voyage. And the entertainment that we provide is actually Norway and the destination, rather than the stuff that you would get on other cruise lines. We do have the pianist in the bar after dinner, and you're quite right, Phil. It's about learning and talking about your journey, whether it be with fellow travellers from, say, the UK or America, or whether it be talking to the locals, as I said to you before, who are travelling to see their friends and family or doing business up there. So it's great to talk with them.
Of course. Now, as the night goes on, you could possibly encounter one of two things, couldn't you? The Northern Lights or the midnight sun.
Absolutely. We are so lucky that we take you above the Arctic Circle, which will hopefully, no guarantees of course, but hopefully you might see the Northern Lights and of course witness the midnight sun. Having passed the Arctic Circle just over halfway through our journey, we spend such a lot of time above the Arctic Circle. So the Northern Lights between November and March, and the midnight sun in June, sort of late May, June and early July. So incredible to experience it. And more people have got these on their wish list for things to do, so we can take you there.
Absolutely. Well, Simon, thank you very much indeed for telling us about some of the wonderful things that you can see, enjoy along the cruise, and also see when it gets to those particularly special occasions like midnight sun and the Northern Lights. How fantastic. Definitely on my list of things to do. Thanks for telling us about them today.
Absolute pleasure.
Now, just a quick reminder about our guides. If you want to go to the fjords or to the Mediterranean, anywhere you want to go, first-time cruisers or family cruisers, some great questions and answers within these two guides. All for nothing. Just give us a call, 0871 423 4444. Calls will cost you 10p a minute from a BT landline, but calls from other networks and mobiles may vary. You can also go to our website, www.holidayandcruisechannel.co.uk, and get a copy of these guides as well. Have a look at what else we're doing online too. Well, that's all we have time for on today's edition of the Holiday and Cruise Clinic. My thanks again to Simon McDermott from Hurtigruten, and most of all, thanks for you for watching as well. I'll see you again next time. Goodbye.